Good morning. It's time for Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Dick. Well, if we could have another day like yesterday, but another chance for rain again
Yeah,
today.
you bet. So it's
Well, we'll see what happens.
kind of a pattern right now.
Yeah, well, it's spring, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what happens in the spring.
Yes.
All right. Well, we got some baseball and softball games in here. That's
Yep.
one good thing. Neilsville Granton baseball on a four-game
Winning streak. Didn't have the heavy bats out yesterday, but great pitching performance by Andrew Hazer, and they get a 3-1 victory over Greenwood. So
Yeah, you look at the line score
Yeah.
for Andrew, and he had 7 innings pitched. He gave up 1 run, no earned runs, 1 hit, and 14 strikeouts
Yeah,
in
just-
that game.
yeah, 14 strike. When you're only getting 21 outs, that's a lot of strikeouts, and especially Larry, you're only limited to 100 pitches. So, and strikeouts take at least 3 pitches apiece. So, but you go back over the 6 games this season, I think Andrews pitched in 5 of them. A little rough at the beginning against Stratford, first game. Weather wasn't great, rusty. But since then, he has just been on fire.
Yeah, his ERA is now under 2
Yep.
on the season. So, and again, Neilsville Granton will have Greenwood again, weather permitting, later today in Neilsville this time at Henry Luke's baseball field. And then they have McDonald Central tomorrow, and then Edgar on Monday.
Yeah, and McDonald looks like a pretty good team. They split a doubleheader with a pretty good Fall Creek team on Tuesday. So, so they should be. And Edgar comes out of that tough Marywood South, and they're pretty good too. So it's 2 pretty good non-conference foes. And then next week you get back into the conference, and I believe it's Columbus next.
Columbus
week.
twice.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty heavy 4 games right in a row for the Warriors. So
Yeah.
so.
And, can't take Greenwood lightly either.
No,
apparently.
absolutely. Greenwood, they took a couple of big losses against Loyal last week, but really played well yesterday. I don't know who pitched for them, but
That was, I can't remember. off the top of my head.
Rakovic.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
One of the Rakovics.
Yeah, I watched the game up at Loyal, and he really struggled with control that night.
Okay.
He hit quite a few batters, and he just
He did have 4 walks on
Yeah.
Tuesday against
and
Neilsville.
and his defense did not help him out either in that game. So
Yeah, from what I understand, I was doing the Neilsville Granton
Right.
Loyal Greenwood game on the radio. So, well, from what I got from my wife, Neilsville Granton batters were hitting the ball right at
yeah,
Greenwood's
and you're going to have
defense.
days as well as they've been hitting. You're going to have days like that.
Yeah.
I said you see that at all levels. So some days it's just nothing but atom balls.
Yeah, compared to what they had the
Yeah,
last couple
absolutely.
of games.
And then the next game, you're going to have all those little rollers that just manage to get through the 6 and 3 holes. So
That's baseball.
yeah, it is. That's what makes
baseball.
it such a great game. But the East Conference East, Glorbell East looks some surprises there. Neilsville off to a 3-0 start, but how about Gilman 2-0 and a 6-2 overall record? Beat Spencer the other night.
Yeah.
That's Spencer team that came off last week before they had beaten Pittsville and split games with Columbus. So Gilman maybe not be a team should be overlooked either. So
And Spencer now has lost 3 in
in
a row.
Yep, absolutely. So
And Spencer and Gilman playing scheduled to play again tonight
yes, absolutely.
up in Gilman.
Yep. So
And Owen Withy and Thorpe, Marshfield, Columbus, they've got their 2 games this week.
yeah,
And then
Loyal's got the bye week this week, pretty much.
bye week.
I guess that's what you call it. So
Loyal hasn't really gotten many games
no,
in yet this year.
their 2 next week conference games are with Gilman though.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's pretty big time right there because you don't know how Gilman's game will go tonight, but Loyal's going to come in there undefeated in the conference. Gilman only 1 loss, and you got 2 games back to back. So
We weren't really sure what to expect out of that
Yeah.
Eastern Clover Belt, but I tell you right now, the top 5 teams,
look pretty good.
they could beat anybody.
Yes, absolutely.
on any night.
Yeah, it's very balanced. So
All right, girls softball. I mentioned I did Neilsville Granton and Loyal Greenwood the other night.
very
that was a
exciting game. Huh?
slugfest, 12-11. Ended up being, and actually Loyal Greenwood had bases loaded in the 7th inning.
Yes, they did. I listened to pretty much all the game.
They had a pop-up at the end of the game, foul territory that
so-
ended the game. But
Yeah, it's and there again the conference there very balanced too. Right now Columbus on top at 3-0, but then you got Gilman, Neilsville, and Loyal Greenwood right behind, all with 1 loss. So, and next week you got Spencer at Columbus and Loyal Granton Greenwood, play Abbey Colby this Thursday night. So it's a lot of things coming up there. So,
It could be an interesting season in both the
and
baseball
it's going to go
and soccer.
fast too, because we're coming
Right.
to the end of April. And
Yeah, I was just looking ahead on my May schedule, and May 27th is when the girls' regionals start.
absolutely. So you're talking about just a little more than a month from today. So
Right.
so,
So there you go. Track and field, the Neilsville track and field team finally got outside for the first meet.
and how about the Warriors winning both the girls and boys?
Yeah.
And quite I said the boys. You talk about balance. They did not have an individual winner in the meet.
Wow, and they still won it by
Yeah.
13 points.
But boy, there were some out. Yeah, they had a lot of second. Like both hurdle events. Micah's Zabel placed second. Brady Bergman right behind him. But there were some outstanding performances, individuals in the boys. Brandon Geldernick from Owen Withy won the 100 and 200. Mason Gay from Owen Withy won the 400 and the high jump. Colton Pazkowski from Owen Withy won the 16 and 3200. Brecken Miller from Spencer, and this kid, we're going to be talking a lot about him, Larry. He won the 110 hurdles, the long jump, and the pole vault. He did 13 feet in the pole vault yesterday.
good.
That is tremendous for first time outside, probably too. So, and then Logan Nagel from Auburndale won the shot put and the discus. So a lot of multiple winners out there. But Neilsville's depth pretty much won that match invitational for them. So.
Yeah, and that shot put, those throws by Mr. Nagel on the discus, he was about 20 feet farther than anybody else. And then in the shot put, not as much, but still 8 feet more than anybody else.
Yeah, and he's only a junior too,
Wow.
so he's got quite a career ahead of him here too. So
Yeah, in his discus, just to give you, it was 146 feet 7 inches. The next guy was 124 3.
and normally 146 will get you on the podium at state.
That's a good throw for discus.
That will get you on the podium at state.
You
so.
bet. Yeah, on the girls' side, Neilsville didn't fare too bad with some individuals.
Yeah, the individuals. Kaylee Lawrence won the high jump, and the 4x100 relay team, which has been really cooking this year,
Yes.
won. But Addison Wolf from Loyal won the 100, the 200, second in the 400, and second in the high jump. So it's kind of a one-woman track
Yes.
team there. Kaylee Lawrence, as I said, first in the high jump, second in the 100, third in the 200. Luis Meyer from Auburndale won the 800 and 1600. Cassidy Grasky from Auburndale won the 100 and 300 hurdles. And then Summer Smith from Loyal, first in the triple jump. So very good performances. And nice day yesterday. And just nice that these kids can get outside. And
Yep.
really made for a busy time up at the school area last
Yes,
night.
it was. Yeah, because they moved that game, Loyal
Yep.
Greenwood Neilsville Granton softball game
Yeah.
to Neilsville because of the,
That's one benefit, that softball field that we have here. It takes a lot of water, whereas, the George Scheer Field in Greenwood is in a low area, and the park in Loyal, when they built that in the early 80s, Larry, that basically just turned a hayfield into a ballpark.
Oh,
There,
okay.
no tiling or
Right.
nothing, and just it doesn't handle rain real well.
No.
So,
and the field in Neilsville, the outfield was wet.
yes,
Infield
absolutely.
was in good shape,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you usually look for is the
Yeah,
infield.
absolutely. Yep. So,
All right. So track and field, they'll have a meet tomorrow. I believe they're in Toma
yes,
for
absolutely.
a track and field meet. Neilsville is there. Boys golf, how about Tucker Johnson, a 1 under par 30?
35. 13-stroke winner.
Took the individual medalist.
Yeah, Neilsville wins.
Medford?
Pretty much won the match for Neilsville.
Yeah.
But, a couple other kids, Hanish golfed well, and then
Cody Hart,
both with 48s.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
No.
Braden
Mortensen.
Mortensen with 64, his first varsity match. So, but got a good fourth in there, and it's just nice these kids can get out too.
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah, I'm sure they've been.
chopping at the
Chopping
bit.
at the
Yeah,
bit to
I'm
get
sure
out.
Tucker Johnson's got quite a few holes in himself. Though,
Oh,
right?
yeah. But competitively, I'm sure he wanted to get out there.
But 35 out first time, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Like you said, he's been out there. He's had a lot of practice.
Before we move away from high school, Larry,
Yes.
I want to talk about the WIA 2025 Scholar Athletes. And to me, the WIA Scholar Athletes is the highest award the WIA can give. It's 32 kids, 16 boys, 16 girls, and we have 6 representatives from this area.
Okay.
We have Jack Tubbs from Stratford, Isaac Shear from Columbus Catholic. Both these boys have had tremendous athletic careers. Kendall Weiler at Owen Withy.
Okay.
Sarah Shaw from Assumption. Reese Grimm from Pittsville, and then Ellie Shesek from Elk Mound. And, of course, Ellie is the daughter of athletic director Mike Shesek from Elk Mound, and Mike originally from Spencer. And Ellie's grandpa is Al Gutman, the old coach at Owen Withee. So Ellie, congratulations. All these kids are like 3.9 and 4.0 students.
Right.
So,
Yeah. They got some awesome GPAs.
Yeah, but they really give meaning to performing on and off the field. I think that is the greatest honor that the WIA can hand out right there.
Yeah, and you're talking athletes that are not just so-so.
Absolutely.
And they do a lot of studying.
Yeah.
These guys,
these kids
are high rate.
and they're all pretty much all three-sport kids.
Right, yeah.
Isaac Scher just probably 2 track and cross country, but Tubbs 3-sport. Ellie Shesek, Grimm, Shaw. Wow, these kids all play 3 sports too. So
yeah,
and
to have a 4.0 or right around that.
And you know darn well they're all active in the community also in their
sure.
churches and everything else too. So
all right, and Owen Withee won the team sportsmanship award for girls basketball.
Yeah, that doesn't go by missed either. I'll tell you that's a one team out of the whole tournament. That's pretty impressive there. So
yeah, they won it once previously, way back in 2005. Yeah. So they'll get a nice banner to hang in the school.
Yep, absolutely. I said the game didn't go well for them, but I'll tell you, it was an honor to get down there, and their fans who are great all the time, and then they really did a great job down at over in Green Bay. So
you bet. How about Brooklyn Schoen heading down to Madison this past weekend? And she is a state champ.
State Golden Gloves champion at 100. She won the 125-pound female class. So congratulations to her. That is a big honor of winning the State Golden Gloves. And Brooklyn will now box at the 2025 National Golden Gloves Tournament, and that is at Tulsa, Oklahoma, May 11th through the 15th, Larry. So
congratulations.
Another scratch on her belt. Yeah, I'll tell you what, this girl is really doing it. And you talk about ambassadors for Neillsville, Brooklyn Schoen ranks right up there. So
puts a lot of work into it.
Yes, she does. Yeah,
a lot of work.
She kind of lives down there in that basement.
Yes, community boxing club member, of course. So again, congratulations and good luck to her as she heads down to the Nationals coming up next month. Just a program note here, Central Wisconsin Broadcasting will be carrying the Bill Michaels Draft Show live from Green Bay tonight. That'll be from 7 to 11 p.m. on 92.3 FM WOSQ. And if they do play Marshfield Tigers baseball and Columbus Catholic baseball, they were scheduled to play, and we're going to have those on. We're on OSQ starting at 4:15 with the Marshfield Tiger game. They've been moved to 14:50 a.m. and 98.7 FM WDLB tonight.
Yeah, just a ton of. I'll tell you what. You turn the dial on your radio, your TV. Everybody's going to be in Green Bay today.
Yep.
I said it started yesterday already. Dan Patrick had his show at the bar in Green Bay. So
I think Bill Michaels was over there already doing his show as well.
Absolutely. So,
but again, that'll be tonight on 92.3 FM WOSQ, 7 to 11 p.m. And we'll get into the mock drafts here in just a second. But a sad note from our area, and I remember listening to this guy all the time on, especially when the Eau Claire Blue Gulls played.
Oh, absolutely.
Mike Sullivan.
Yeah. Back in those days, it was on Z100.
Yes,
Mike
Z100.
Sullivan was the voice of the Blue Gulls, and of course, those Ken Anderson teams were tremendous.
Yep.
They went to that in those days. The NEI National Tournament was always in Kansas City. They went every year.
Yep.
And Mike Sullivan was the voice, and also the voice of Blue Gold football too.
Yeah.
So.
And Eau Claire Regis
and Memorial
and a lot of the Eau Claire
North, all of them.
Yep.
And lately, the biggest thing he's done is Blue Gold hockey.
Yeah.
And the press box at Hobbs Arena is named after Mike Sullivan. So
passed away on Monday at the age of 75. But I'll always remember that guy's
voice.
Man,
yeah, that's the first local guy I really remember. I said right there was him. So
and I remember the first time I met him. I think it was at one of the tournament games over in Eau Claire, one of the Memorial or North.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember listening to him, but I never really saw him.
Yeah, that's exactly, So
or met him. All right, let's go with where are they now, and then we'll get into some mock draft.
Okay, Larry, I'm going over to Abbotsford, and I'm going to talk about Tanner Cattry. And Tanner is a 2004 graduate of Abbotsford High School. In the fall, Tanner was a 3-year letter winner on the Falcons football team. His sophomore year, the Falcons were 6-4 on the season, qualifying for the WI Division VI playoffs, where they lost in Level 1 to Thorpe. Tanner, as starting quarterback, completed 38 of 92 passes for 425 yards and 7 touchdowns, and rushed for 538 yards and 4 touchdowns. On defense, he had 25 tackles and 1 pass interception. He was an honorable mention choice on the Merriwood Conference All-Conference team. His junior year, the Falcons were 5-5 on the season, qualifying for the WIA playoffs, where they lost in Level 1 to Osseo Fairchild. Tanner completed 48 out of 104 passes for 582 yards and 8 touchdowns, and rushed for 620 yards and 5 touchdowns. On defense, he had 32 tackles and 3 pass interceptions. He was a second-team selection on offense and an honorable mention selection on defense on the Merriwood Conference All-Conference team. His senior year, the Falcons were 11-2 on the season, qualifying for the WIA Division VI playoffs, where they lost in Level 4 to St. Mary Springs. Tanner completed 72 of 125 passes for 830 yards and 11 touchdowns, and rushed for 725 yards and 9 touchdowns. On defense, he had 45 tackles and 5 pass interceptions. He was a Merriwood Conference All-Conference first-team selection on offense and defense, and was named the Merriwood Conference Offensive Player of the Year. He was also named a Channel 7 All-Star on defense and was selected to play in the Wisconsin Football Coaches High School All-Star Game. In the winter, Tanner was a 3-year letter winner on the Abbotsford basketball team. His sophomore year, the Falcons were 19-6 on the season. They were regional champs, losing in the sectional semis to Assumption. Tanner averaged 8 points per game. His junior year, Abbotsford was 13-8 on the season, losing to Marshfield Columbus in the regionals. Tanner averaged 14 points and 6 rebounds, and was a second-team selection on the Merriwood Conference All-Conference team. His senior year, the Falcons were 21-2. They were Merriwood Conference champs, losing to Blair Taylor in the regional finals, 48-46. Tanner averaged 17 points and 7 rebounds, and was a first-team selection on the Merriwood All-Conference team. In the spring, Tanner was a 4-year letter winner on the Falcons baseball team. His freshman year, Abbotsford was 12-8 on the season, losing to Edgar in the regionals. Tanner batted .260 and had 8 RBIs. His sophomore year, the Falcons were 11-8 on the season, losing to Wausau Newman in the regionals. Tanner, as starting shortstop and starting pitcher, batted .311 on the season with 15 RBIs. As a pitcher, he was 3-2 with 32 strikeouts. He was a second-team selection on the Merriwood All-Conference team. His junior year, the Falcons were 12-8 on the season, losing to Stratford in the regionals. Tanner batted .328 with 22 RBIs. He was 4-2 as a pitcher with 45 Ks. He was a first-team selection on the Merriwood All-Conference team. His senior year, the Falcons were 17-5 on the season. They were regional and sectional champs, qualifying for the WIA Division III state tournament, where they defeated DeSoto 3-0 in the semifinals. Tanner, as starting pitcher, threw a 2-hit shutout with 12 strikeouts. In the finals, the Falcons would lose to Catholic Central 5-4 in 9 innings. Tanner was 2 for 4 with an RBI in that game. For the season, Tanner batted .355 with 28 RBIs. On the mound, he was 9-2 with 95 strikeouts. He was a first-team selection on the Merriwood All-Conference team and was named Merriwood Conference Player of the Year. After graduation, Tanner enrolled at UW Stout and joined the Blue Devil football team. His freshman year, Stout was 5-4. Tanner, as backup quarterback, carried the ball 3 times for 9 yards. His sophomore year, Stout was 6-4 in the season. Tanner, splitting time at quarterback with now Thorpe football coach Keldrick Stokes, completed 36 of 68 passes for 301 yards and 3 touchdowns. He carried the ball 72 times for 329 yards. His junior year, Stout was 3-7. Tanner was 101 out of 184 passes for 1,037 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had carried the ball 123 times for 593 yards and 8 touchdowns. His senior year, Stout was 4-5 on the season. Tanner completed 99 out of 192 passes for 1,249 yards and 5 touchdowns. He carried the ball 135 times for 568 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was a second-team selection on the WIAC All-Conference team. Tanner graduated from UW Stout in 2009 with a business degree in business administration and general management. Today, Tanner is a senior premier banker for BMO Harris, based in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Tanner and his wife, Patty, and their family reside in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Tanner Captree, Larry.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, good athlete.
Yeah, him and the Soik boys.
Yes,
they were a big part of that baseball team.
Yeah, they ever had some good baseball teams.
Yes, they did.
Too bad they ran into the teams they did in the regionals every year.
Yeah. It was kind of funny in those days. The 2 Soik boys and Tanner, it was shortstop, pitcher, catcher, and when one did, they just kind of
they just rotated around. Sure. Yeah. Keltrick
Keldrick still. I wouldn't have thought of him as a quarterback.
That's a big quarterback.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
But it does show, he's pretty good offensive mind, though.
Right.
So
Yes. All right. So the draft coming up later tonight, and all signs are pointing to the Tennessee Titans holding that number 1 pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody thinks they're going with Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami.
That's what every mock draft that
Yeah,
I've seen.
I haven't seen one that didn't.
I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, and quite honestly, there are other quarterbacks moving up the ladder, but not to his stout.
No.
So.
And there was talk earlier in the week of Cleveland and New York, the Giants, maybe trading their picks, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Cleveland's kind of showed their hand a little bit because we talked about last week Travis Hunter making that wild statement. He would only go to a team that would play him both ways, and right away Cleveland came out and said he would be more than welcome to play both ways. So I thought Cleveland kind of showing their hand a little bit there.
Yeah. And Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, may be likely to go 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite honestly, I don't know if I was the Giants if I'd pass on him or I'd trade out of there because watching him in college, he was a very dominant player. But everybody, they scout different too, though.
Right.
But there's been talk about the Giants taking Sanders too, which I think would be a big mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not a Shadur Sanders fan, or at least not part of his fan club anyway. But they signed Jameis Winston during the offseason and somebody else too, and Russell Wilson.
Oh, sure.
And why would you draft Sanders in there? So.
And the draft that I'm looking at, one of the sports things that I follow, does not even have Sanders in the top.
Yeah,
going in the first round.
Who was I watching this morning? I forget who was. I couldn't remember right off the top of my head. But there's some people seeing him falling out of the first round.
Yeah, this one here does not have him in the first round.
Because people feel Jackson Dart from Mississippi is moving up the ladder.
In fact, this mock draft that I have has Jackson Dart going 9th to the Saints.
Yeah. More than likely, the Saints are going to pick a quarterback, I think, because David Carr being hurt. Are you going to stay with Spencer Rattler?
Supposedly Carr's hurt. I don't know. All of a sudden, this came up that nobody really knew where that came from. All of a sudden, he's injured.
Yeah, because I think if he was really hurt, I would think there'd be talk of Aaron Rodgers going down there.
You would think.
And there has been, seen nothing about Aaron Rodgers in New Orleans. So,
in fact, it's been pretty quiet on Aaron Rodgers.
All around, yeah. Pittsburgh has seemed to kind of shut him out, too.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk with him and Pittsburgh, but that's kind of quieted down, too. Ashton Genty is another guy, the running back out of Boise State. Now, this draft, this mock draft here has him going 5th to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen him to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I've seen him falling down to Chicago at 10, too.
Oh, okay.
But there again, what's going to fall first? I've heard many people talk that there's going to be tight ends go before wide receivers.
Well, there's a good one coming out of Penn State.
Tyler Warren. But people also feel Colston Loveland from Michigan.
Okay.
And right now on the draft I'm holding, they've got him going 26 to the Rams. But many people feel he's as good or better than Warren, and I find that hard to believe. Warren is 6'6", and he really is an athlete. He's a big, stout blocker, but he's an excellent receiver.
Yeah.
Excellent receiver. And he runs well after the catch, too. So
this draft here has Colston Loveland going 22nd to the Chargers.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know, but like I said, I've seen more wide receivers go earlier than tight ends here because, well, first of all, if Travis Hunter goes second, he's got to be considered a wide receiver too.
Right.
But McMillan from Arizona, the one I'm holding, they have McMillan from Arizona going 5th to Jacksonville, and then the kid from Texas Matthew Golden going 12th to Dallas. So,
yeah, that's when this one has the same thing.
But
the Packers, what do you think about the Packers? They have a McMillan. Is that the guy you're talking about? This McMillan?
Tatoria or
from Arizona.
Yeah, they've had. You look at the visits they've had from people. It's tight end, it's wide receivers, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, and a couple of corners. So I think it comes down to those 4 positions. Now, part of what I'm thinking, okay, is Jair Alexander going to be traded?
Yeah,
that's another thing. Okay, if Jair Alexander is traded, I think somebody like Will Johnson from Arizona falls to him, possibly.
I mean, I think they're still looking at defensive back as being a need. I think even if they don't get rid of him.
But too, their defensive, like Kenny Carter's not getting any younger. It's
Kenny Clark.
Clark,
Yeah.
excuse me. He's not getting any younger. The guys they've drafted the last couple of years really, other than Dante Wyatt, haven't really showed up.
Right.
I believe T.J. Slayton left for Cincinnati in the free agency, so.
And they're looking for Van Ness maybe to do something this year.
Well,
see.
he'll be in his third year.
Yeah.
So he better step up pretty good because he is a first-round draft choice, So Rashad Gary needs help, but
Well, this CBS draft, they went through each team
Yeah.
and went down every
Yeah.
pick that they're going to have. They have Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas, going as their first pick.
okay, that wouldn't surprise me either.
But I don't think they need help on the offensive
No,
line.
they drafted first there last year,
Yeah.
and the guy didn't do nothing.
I think defensive
Yeah.
line and edge rusher maybe.
Yeah, I've got mine came off, I believe, CBS, and they've got Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M,
Okay.
which would be pretty interesting if they took him because last year's best draft pick, Edgerrin Cooper, also came out of Texas A&M. So that'd be kind
Yeah,
of interesting.
that
They're
would.
pairing them two. So,
Yes, indeed.
so.
Yeah, so I mean, you could go through this all you want.
Oh, God, yeah.
They got Jalen Milroe from
Yeah.
Alabama, that
Yes.
quarterback going to Pittsburgh
Yes, I've heard him pull
in the first round.
back into the first. Him and Dart,
Yeah.
both have came in, and where Sanders has fell, and the story I heard yesterday, unless you're a coach like Mike Tomlin, who's pretty well rooted where he is,
Yeah.
you draft a Shadur Sanders, your coach better watch out because as soon as things go bad,
Yeah.
they're going to want Deion Sanders to be the head coach.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I see where you're going with that one. They also have the second pick for the Packers in the. They only have one pick in the second round. That's Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State.
yeah, I don't know much about him, but he's been rated. I've seen him at in the end of first rounds and high second rounds. So
Okay.
so
Yeah. But again, like we
Yeah.
said, you can speculate all you want, and
Yeah.
things never go
But
the same.
with the injury to Watson, I think receiver is kind of a need. You got to
Yeah.
fill that depth. You got Romeo coming back, a few others, but Watson is probably your best man, your fastest receiver anyway. So I do think you need to look to fill that, and you didn't do anything in free agency or trades or anything.
Right.
So
It's always funny to look back at the draft and
Yeah.
see how it went
Yeah.
according to the mock drafts.
Yeah,
And a lot of times they're not right.
And nobody guesses a trade that could be made.
Right.
You
right.
know, so
Yeah, and like they said, Cleveland and New York
Yeah.
Giants could trade.
trade right away.
Yeah.
I my guess is by 7:30 Thursday night we'll be shocked about some of the things that go on. So
I'm not sure who Cleveland would trade or want to trade out and not get at least one of
Yeah.
those two guys,
They would
Hunter
have-
or Abdul Carter.
the biggest thing would have to be to get draft equity, and
Okay.
you're probably going to get the other teams first,
Yep.
and maybe a
Maybe
second,
another. Okay.
a second, and probably a 1, 2, 3. That kind of thing. I think it had to be something that really knocked their socks off.
Yeah.
Because I think Travis Hunter is a great player, but he's not a once-in-generation player
Right.
either, other than the fact he plays both ways.
But
Yeah.
what team is going to play him both ways?
Yeah,
That's the
other
other
than
thing.
Cleveland. Yeah,
Right.
so
I
like
would
said,
I wouldn't think they would pay him a lot of money to be a receiver and then
Yeah.
have to play corner as well.
Yeah, I don't see a guy staying healthy, and he had that kind of problem at Colorado, staying healthy.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
good problem to
yeah,
have.
it's a lot of wear and tear on the the college is the pro game is a lot different than
Yes,
college.
it is.
So.
They hit a lot harder.
Yes, they do.
Quickly, we got about a minute and a half left here. The Bucks in their series with Indiana
Yeah.
just can't seem to figure it out.
They just can't get going. I mean, they fall down and then make late comebacks and and they just I don't know what's going on.
that
there.
first game was
It was
that was
terrible.
ugly.
Yeah, and the beginning of Tuesday night's game was ugly too, and so it's Damian Lillard is back, and I think he'll play a bigger role in Game 3.
Yeah, he didn't do much the other night.
No, but he's got to get his sea legs back.
Right, right.
He's missed quite a bit of time. So right now, the athleticism and everything else of Indiana is beating them badly. So
Yeah.
so
So Game 3 is tomorrow night in Milwaukee. The Bucks find themselves down 2-0.
yeah.
And boy, I tell you, if you lose Game 3, you're pretty much
done. Yeah. So you need to win Friday night and Sunday night in Milwaukee
Yeah.
to even have a chance in this. So
Yeah, because otherwise you're talking you have to
You're-
win 4
you're
in
go-
a row.
Yeah, you're going 3-1 back to Indiana. You might as well throw the towel in then. So
And they've had Indiana a lot over the
yeah,
last
oh,
few
absolutely.
years.
And there is not it is a very chippy
Yes,
series
it
too.
is.
Very chippy
Yep,
series. So,
Yep, those two don't really get along
no,
too
they
well.
don't like each other very much. So
All right, so the NFL draft tonight, and if we have weather permitting, we'll have some baseball for you. Neilsville, Granton, and Greenwood on 92.7 WPKG starting at 5 today. That's Two Guys on Sports for this week. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson.
We'll talk to you again next week.